Hello, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started on the second installment of the solar series for our webinars. Hopefully everybody's doing okay. Everybody's staying safe and healthy. We'll go ahead and get started. So to kind of get into detail what we'll be going over, pretty much everything is going to be solar, floods, light bars, some different area lights. Pretty much we've seen a big increase of this just because of the wiring cost, the labor cost to get the wiring. The solar fixtures now and the battery capacities are much better than what they have been in the past. Again, we have no glass in any of our solar fixtures as well, so any shattering issues or breakage or cracking, pretty much non-existent. And they can just be used pretty much anywhere. So if you need it, whether it's in a field or next to a building, you don't have power, we can still get light there. So it's a lot of different applications we'll get into as we go through the slides. So to give you some ideas of the different fixtures we'll cover today, the SunBrite is actually one of our newer models. It's an all-in-one inclusive piece, just sits on top of a tenon. Same thing with our new all-in-one series, the 50 and the 70 watt. Then we have your typical street lights. The floods are new, the Explorer flood, and then the Obies and the Delta are also new as well. All right, so to get into the newest one of the bunch, the SunBrite all-in-one. So 30, 48, and 80 watt, as you can see. The nice thing about these is they pretty much come all-inclusive. So they set on top of a tenon, anything 2 3/8 or less. The picture shows that the panel sets right on top of the fixture. All your bracketry for the panel comes with it. It is plug and play, so you don't have to do any wiring. The panel plugs right into the fixture. The battery is built into the system as well, so you don't have to try to figure out anything. Your charge time, even on a cloudy day, you're about 5 hours. Typically, and these have motion as well, so 12 hours is pretty much the minimum. If you use the different ratings as far as motion, and we'll get that once we get to the remote. This has a handheld remote. We'll show you the details, but you actually can lengthen that time period as well. So here's the remote, kind of what everybody wants to know. So you basically have the handheld remote for the fixture. If you have it on for 12 hours at 100%, it'll last right about 12 hours. You can have it you can hit the T mode. You can see 4 hours at 100%, then it goes to 30%. Then you also have your M for motion. So you have several different details there that you can pick from that will definitely last a lot longer as far as your battery during the night. When motion. Now it never goes completely out, but it will dim down. As soon as motion is detected, whether it's a person, even if it's an animal, that fixture will kick right back up to 100%. Then you also have the last one where it stays at 100%. Typically, the first 4 hours when you have movement, people are running around. Then during the night, it goes down to 70 with motion, and then 20% if nothing else is detected. So it's very unique, and you can definitely fit it for the environment that you're going to be in, whether it's high traveled or if it's just a safety issue. You can choose the mode that works best for you. So here's one of the newer fixtures we have as well. The 50 watt we've had, it's an all-in-one. So the panel is actually built onto the fixture. It's on top. You can't see it in the picture. It does have motion, and then we have added within the last 3 weeks a 70 watt version. Pretty much the same thing. Panels built in, looks exactly the same. The chips and the battery are a little bit different. So your motion, as you can see on the chart there, it'll go in for 4 hours solid, and then it'll go down to 30% until motion is detected. Once your motion sensor is detected, then it goes on. You do have a button on the back. It's a little silver button. You can push and manipulate. If you don't want the motion, that will be able to turn it off. The beam angle pretty much set the way it is. It's 150 inches or 150 degrees by 70 degrees, more of an oval pattern. And these work really well. So the slip fitter on this is actually unique. It can go straight out, or it actually go down almost at a 90 degree from the fixture. So you can use different arms. You can set it on a tenon. You can set it on bull horns if you wanted more than one on a pole. So it's another one's very unique. So how you can set it pretty much is very adjustable. Now these are our street lights that we started out with. They're our Delta series. Comes in 30, 48, and 80 watt. again, polycarbonate covers, so if somebody would decide to throw a rock at it or try to break it, you're not going to shatter these lenses. They're about a 1/2 inch thick. All of them are rated at about 115 lumens per watt. The batteries, you can see, 3-year warranty. The cycle time on these, so you get about 1,000 cycles per battery. Definitely an easy battery to replace. It's actually a box on the back of the solar panel. And 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road, if you would have an issue with the battery, it's very easy to take those off and replace them. Same thing with the sun brights that we went through before. So it's a very easy technical issue. So 5K is typically what we stock. On these, we can do 3K. On the Sunbright, we can actually do 3, 4, and 5. I did neglect to mention that. The unique thing with the Delta series is the panels. So the light and the fixture, again, plug and play, goes right together, no tools, nothing required. It's a twist lock and it's all watertight. But this one actually gives you the option to be able to remote mount the panel. So if you want to put your light on a pole but have the panel hidden, you actually can remote mount this panel about 30 meters away from the fixture. So some people light signs with them. They'll hide the panel, behind a bush. As long as it's facing south, it has no shade so it can charge, then you're not going to have any issue. And these are low voltage cables, so they don't have to be the 30 inches in the ground. They can just be a couple inches under the ground and then run to the pole. So very unique as well for those. On the OB light bars, this is another new item for us. So these particular ones here, 2 foot and 4 foot, 30 watt and 50 watt versions on the 2 lengths. Different beam angles, so we can pretty much do 30, 60, 90, 110, 130 degree, whether it's a frosted lens or a clear lens. Very adaptable with those. The nice thing about these, again, the panel can be remote mounted. We actually have done some situations for bus stop shelters. There's no power there to get light there, and it's a safety issue. The panel can actually lay on top of the bus stop shelter. Then they will run these lights into the top of the bus stop shelter, and they'll have a light. So every one of our panels has a dusk to dawn sensor in it. So once the sun goes down, it engages the light. Once the sun comes back up, it disengages the light. So you won't have to have any switches, any controls there at all, because it's all done inside the panel. And again, these will go on the light bars, again, up to about 30 meters away. This is a picture of one of the battery boxes that we have. Very easy if you have to redo the position of the box because of a mounting that you may have or that you want to use. You can see there's just 4 bolts there. You can actually move it on that rail if you had to. This particular box can run 2 fixtures. So the OB light bars and the Neo floods that we'll get to here in just a minute, you can actually run 2 fixtures off of 1 battery and 1 panel. So that allows you, especially for sign lighting, if you have to light it from both sides, you can do it with the panel mounted wherever it needs to be and actually run your power cords to each side of the sign so you can light it. Again, polycarbonate lenses, so your weed eaters and your lawnmowers are not going to affect the fixture whatsoever. And the nice thing about these, now that you see the battery box, they have about 8 screws in the back, and it's silicone sealed. But if you would ever have to replace the battery, you pop those out. The battery unit is sitting right there. It's very easy plug and play to remove and replace the battery for a fraction of what you'd have to pay for new fixtures. So definitely an advantage there. So these are the Neo floods. Again, a lot of these things are very new for us. These have been very popular here lately. Sign lighting, different areas on wall mounting for murals, several different applications. And again, the panels have been hidden, so they've mounted the panels away from the fixtures. These are also, we've done some projects with them mounted on poles. We do have, you'll see here in a minute, we have a panel mount that you can use for these as well on top of the poles, where the panel and everything is above basically reach of anybody. They can't bother it. So you could put a slip fitter on these floods, put it on the end of a parking lot arm, a pole arm, or even a bullhorn. And you can light it in several different directions, especially if you use 2 of them. All of our solar fixtures pretty much have a 3-year warranty on the batteries. And then the fixtures and such with the SONARAY warranty are about 5 years. Different color temperatures are no issue. We do have 3, 4, and 5 in this particular fixture. We only stock 5, so 3 and 4 would have a bit more of a lead time. All of our solar fixtures are IP, at least IP65, and you see the IK09, that's actually impact resistance. So IK10 is almost indestructible. These come in into IK09, so if they get hit, baseballs, basketballs, rocks, you name it, it's not gonna affect the fixture or the lens. And again, flagpole signage, even just basic security lighting we've done for some industrial accounts that had alleyways that they didn't have power in. For the safety of the employees, they actually mounted these floods and some of the street lights in there to provide safety for the employees to go back and forth. The Explorer flood is another version we have with the AC, but we've converted it to a DC driver as well. The unique thing about this one is the tight beam angle that you can get. So we can go all the way down to an 8 degree. Of course, we have 17, 34, 62. Very good for flagpoles. So if you hide your panel remote mounted far away again, you can have that tight beam angle focused on the flag. You don't have any bleed through into surrounding neighborhoods or roadways. It's a very tight beam, exactly where you want it to go. Again, IP65, IK09, these are very easily, so if you get say a 17 degree beam angle and you need it a little broader, these are very easily manipulated to get to a 34 or 62. So that's not an issue whatsoever. And the other thing I want to cover on our solar panels, you'll see an 80 watt fixture with a 150 watt solar panel. That is for 2 reasons. So it's a longer life on the battery because you're not discharging it all the way every day. That typically really shortens the life of a battery. So when we use the larger one, it charges quicker and it has a longer lifetime because it doesn't exhaust the capability of the battery near as quick because it doesn't hit that rock bottom every night. So I just wanted to cover that real quick. And most all of ours, again, the panels have the sensors built into them. They have the batteries built into them. So really you only have to deal with the panel and you only have to deal with the fixture. And all these will have quick connects. You plug and play, they're watertight, won't have any issue with any intrusion of dust, any water or such. So here's one of our original solar fixtures. This is a little 10 watt, actually very popular. Everything comes with it, the mounting bracket, the panel, the light fixture, and that light fixture actually swivels up and down and side to side. So it's very aimable. We recently did for a customer, actually here in Virginia, you can remote mount that little light about 10 feet away from the panel. And that allowed them actually for a subdivision, they actually lit the sign of the subdivision and they hid the panel on the other side of the sign facing south. So as long as you can face south and you're not in any shade or any obstructions, your charging will be just fine. Another little trick is when you get these installed, rub a little Rain-X on them. It definitely keeps a lot of the dirt and dust. And if you're further up north, it eliminates a lot of the buildup on the ice and the snow because it allows it to just run off. Again, with these fixtures, south and at about a 45 degree angle is optimal charge. Now here's the pole mounting. So these we actually have made here in Virginia, and we have a couple different options. You can see a small and a large mount. That's for different size panels, whether it's going to be a 30 watt, maybe the light bars. Each one matches to the capability and size of the panel. The nice thing about this is we actually have a 2 arm as well. This is a picture of a single arm. We now have a double arm with a larger cradle that can actually hold a larger panel to run both fixtures, or like the Neo Flood, you have them on slip fitters, so you can have one on each arm and they both run off that single panel. It gives a lot of abilities to focus the light in several different areas and off the one pole with no power. They do come in 2 pieces. So the bottom part of that mount you see will sit on the top of a tenon, again, 2 3/8 or less. Your fixture will go on the arm, and then that cradle panel, you'll mount that panel to your cradle, and then you'll slip it on top, and everything is tightened down. It's threaded, so once it's on there, it's on there. The only thing to consider, if you're putting these on existing poles, make sure the integrity of the pole is good, and they can take the EPA rating. We do not mount these on wooden poles unless we remote mount the panels, just because of the safety issue. And we actually have poles now that have a higher EPA that does allow you to put the larger solar panels up top, and they can take that wind distress. So here's actually a picture of an install of one of the new SunBrite 80 watts. Again, you can see how easily it was the cord goes from the solar panel right to the fixture itself. It's plug and play, and that panel can rotate and angle in any direction. So no matter how you have that fixture pointed, that panel can spin and twist to make sure it's always pointed south, and you can always angle it at the correct degree that you need for optimal charging. This is actually a picture of some of our Delta solars with the pole mount. You can see, again, panels mounted south, it's tilted, and that one also spins. The actual pitch of the panel is already set. When you get the cradle from us, once it sits down on top of the mount itself, it's already positioned. Then you can just spin it. It'll actually spin all the way, including over the fixture itself, to make sure it's faced in the right direction. This is actually a picture that we had of a customer that did it for safety reasons. This was just a pathway out of an apartment complex. They didn't have a lot of light, so they stuck one of these little 10 watts, very inexpensive, whole lot easier than having to run a power cord over there, and they were able to eliminate that shadow. Now, we have a Q&A button there and also a chat. Justin McCloskey's online as well. Any questions or anything you would like to know that I may have not covered, feel free to please put it on Q&A and chat, and Justin will ask it to me while we're online. We also are recording this, so we will have the link sent to everyone as well, so you have this for your own use, or if you'd like to pass it along to customers. So Justin, I will wait to hear from you on any questions.
All right. First question is, do we plan on having any fixture larger than an 80 watt?
We actually are entertaining the thought. So the 80 watt replaces 250 watt metal halide and below. Our engineers are now exploring the possibility of a larger unit to be able to replace a 400 watt. So yes, that actually is being explored right now. Anything else?
Yes, you'd mentioned that the Neo flood has been popular lately. What kind of applications do you see that being used in?
The ones I have done so far have actually been pole mounted. One that we're working on right now is a public utilities laydown yard. They have no access to electricity out in the yard. They do in the building, but because of funding right now, they don't really have that much to try to get power there. So we're actually putting the floods on poles around the perimeter to light that area up for the workers to be able to get their trucks together, and just for security reasons. That has been the most popular, putting the Neo floods on there, on actual poles.
Okay. Can you just briefly go over the warranty, in particular the fixture warranty, and then the solar battery and panel?
Okay, so the solar battery and panel are 3 years. And if you have any issues, it's pretty much an automatic replacement. The fixture itself is 5 years. And again, we usually, well, not usually, we always send another fixture out, so you can actually take the old fixture down, put the new fixture up at the same time, or whether it be panel or battery. If it is a panel, if it is a battery, you'll actually probably get a panel and battery together because they come pretty much assembled together. But we'll send that, and then you'll have a return label in the box that you can repack the old unit, whatever it may be, into the box, and then just send it back to us.
Okay. For the solar light bar, is that the same fixture as the OB light bar?
It is. It is the OB with a DC driver. So it's, instead of IP69, it's actually an IP69K, which you would never need that outside. But yes, it is the exact same fixture, just a different driver. So all the same options. You know, if you wanted it in brushed aluminum, that particular fixture, if you needed it in white, is also an option. We pretty much stock the black and frosted, but we also can do narrower beam angles, and we can also do clear lenses.
Does SONARAY have any project references for waterfront installs?
Waterfront installs for the solars, I would have to check with some of our reps to make sure. I'm not aware of waterfront, but we can definitely, Justin, you can make a note of who that is. We can find out and get back with you on that one. I know we have some down closer to the coast here on the East Coast, but I don't know. I don't think they're actually waterfront. Now, with that said, if you do go waterfront, the saltwater spray or whatever does not negate the warranty. So if you are in that application, you still get the same warranty.
Is the CRI for our fixtures, are they considered standard or above average compared to competitors?
So most all of our CRI with all our fixtures above 80. The light bars and the Sunbright are tested about an 86, 87 CRI, which is actually typically higher. 90 is a really high CRI. We're not quite at 90, but we're pretty close. So I would say compared to some of the other solars, we probably are a little bit above where everybody else is.
Okay. Someone has a question about certifications. Do these solar fixtures require any UL listings?
These do not, because there's no, because it's plug and play, there's no contractor needed. Now there is discussion, you'll see a lot of some of the projects coming out. DLC has started a certification for solar. We're looking into that. I'm not real familiar so far, but it has been brought up. So we're kind of going back and forth to see how that works, but the UL is not required. Now, some states, I will jump in there, some states may be different. I have not run into one that requires it yet.
Okay. Can you just take a quick second and talk about how the battery has changed, how easy it is, and if it's required to have a licensed electrician to do it?
When you're doing the battery, you probably would want an electrician to do it, but basically when you pull the cover off the box, and it is silicone sealed, so you'll have to redo that when you put it back, but it's actually a battery core, and all it is soldered into a circuit board. So your electrician would basically heat that solder up. The two joints that come from the battery would basically pull off. You'd put your new battery on and then just resolder those 2 points back on the circuit board. And once you have it covered up, once you do your silicone edging, you seal it up, you're done. So it actually is very easy. It's just the hardest part is, believe it or not, the hardest part is actually getting into it through the silicone seal, because that was pretty rough. I did one just to see how easy it was. That was the hardest part of it.
Okay. For the installation of the solar panels, are the panels in a fixed pitch and angle, or do you have a motorized option which follows the sun?
They actually are fixed and pitched. So once you put them on the cradle and you put them on the pole, they're fixed where they're at. Basically what they found out and what we found out is if you always face them south, they pretty much pick your sun coming up from the east and it going down from the west. So that's your optimum charge without moving them. And yes, all of ours are non-movement.
Okay. Are there any options for an upgraded battery just to have a longer life?
Yes, we have some options, especially if you're going up north with the cold. So we use an iron sulfate battery that definitely tolerates the cold more than, say, nickel cadmium. Now, with that said, we can put a heater system inside the box. There's an adder for it, but that does, one, it helps the charging in anything below 20, minus 20 Celsius, and it actually lengthens the lifetime. Now, with that said, there are other batteries out there that we could install in. It's more of a, I don't want to say a military grade battery, but it kind of is for battery life, but the box would have to be changed and it would definitely be a special order. So we'd have to quote them individually.
Okay. You mentioned the cold there. How well will these fixtures run, say around minus 40 temperature?
So on your minus 40, anything below minus 20, we would probably want to put the heater in. So far, We've had some in Canada and some up to the next to the border. They've done really well. Again, it has back to do with the iron sulfate. That particular composition just does better with the cold. Anything below -20 though, we would probably almost have to add the heater system to it. And so far, everything that we've installed up there has not had any issues. They've charged well. The biggest issue is the buildup on the panels as far as ice and snow, and that's where we came in with the Rain-X. Doesn't totally negate it, but it does keep it at a minimum.
If someone was to use the Neo Flood in a backyard install, where would you suggest the panel be installed?
Well, that depends on if they had kids like mine. If you have the panel installed in the backyard, probably have it raised up. Definitely on the roof would be the best of the house, and then just run your line down to the fixture. If you didn't, have some kind of either a pole or a mount that you could have above ground where it wouldn't get hit, because the top of these panels are glass. It's like a tempered glass. They don't break real easy, but if you go to really hash at it, eventually they'll crack. So definitely out of reach if you could.
What kind of finishes does the SunBright Solar have?
So the SunBright Solar is actually the new one. It has a concrete gray finish. It's like a textured finish. So far, that's the only one we're offering right now. But if you do have an order, say you need gray or such, we can do that. It just wouldn't be a stocked item. Everybody so far that has seen that textured concrete look, they have really liked it so far. It's different.
Has SONARAY done any national parks projects with the solar?
Actually working on one right now for a new park that is, believe it or not, we're actually doing the OB light bars in the guardrail. So they want to be able to save the scenic view, but yet keep the safety. So anything with poles is definitely going to negate your view. So this actually is being constructed as we speak now, and they're actually putting the OB bars itself underneath the guardrail, kind of pointed out to the road to glaze over the road so you can see it. Yet there's not a lot of uplight to disturb as far as light pollution. And then they're mounting the panels the 30 meters away from the bars just for scenic reasons.
Are graphene batteries being explored, or is it too new of a technology?
We are not looking at the graphite right now. Not saying that we won't eventually, but we've had a lot of success going to more of the iron sulfate, mostly for longevity.
Which of the solar fixtures are in the quick ship program?
So right now, typically all 5K, we have tried to keep most of them in stock. I know the Neo Floods and the light bars we have in stock now. The SunBrights have actually, as we get them in, they're going out decently regularly. So we'll have to beef up the stock on those, but we plan on having those, the Neos, and the light bars actually in stock, but only in the 5K color.
Has SONARAY done any solar installs in Canada?
We have some of the all-in-one 50 watts, the smaller units. We have sent those. That has been fairly recently. I would have to follow up to see what the application was, but yes, we have sold into Canada. It has gone quiet. Are you there, Justin?
Yep.
Okay.
Looks like that's it for now.
I see two questions that just popped up on where they're made. The fixtures are actually made in our main factory in China. They are not made here in the US as of yet. And then another question on billboards. So we actually have proposed some options for billboards. We have a bracket for the floods and for the light bars. It's a new standoff bracket. You can actually mount it to the billboard and it pushes the light out basically however far you want it, whether it's 2 feet, 4 feet, or 6 feet away from the billboard to light wash the whole unit itself. So you can read whatever the advertisement is.
Which of the solar fixtures has been the most popular?
Probably the most popular so far has been the Delta, because those were our original solar street lights. I would say now the Neo Floods and the Sunbright are probably giving them a run for their money, but just because they're so much newer than what the Deltas are, so far the Delta street lights have been more popular. That's what the reason for the webinars is, really to get out there and let everybody know the new options we have besides just the Deltas, because these have all been pretty much designed since the beginning of this year. Anything else? All right, well, I appreciate everybody attending, taking some time. We did record this, so we'll send the link out to everyone. Our next webinar will be on August the 20th at 2 Eastern Standard Time. The invites will go out sometime probably in the next week or so. And I'll also end up emailing the reps with a link as well, so you can just hit it and register automatically. Anything else you have questions for, feel free to email Justin or I. We can get back to you with the answers right away. And again, we do appreciate everybody's time. Stay safe out there, stay healthy, and we will see you in 2 weeks and hopefully talk to you before then with other things you may need. Everyone have a great week, and thanks again.